there had been one or two times I thought, well, this is how I might die. And so as I get older, I try to avoid those situations. Jake Adelstein と申します。長年の調査報道記者です。運が良くて運が悪くてどっちか言えないんだけど、長年30年間ぐらい暴力団、いわゆるヤクザの取材もやってきました。So, how does an American from Missouri end up working in Japan as a crime reporter? When I was in the university, in order to improve my Japanese, I started writing for the school newspaper in Japanese, and all my colleagues were getting ready to apply to be newspaper reporters, and I decided, since I had nothing better to do, that I would try and pass the same examinations that they did. I was hired for one of the largest newspapers there. Everybody starts on the police beat because that's the basics of news reporting. Who did what, where, when, how, sometimes why. The kind of crime that you write about in Japan is so small that in most big cities you wouldn't write about purse snatchings or a robbery or someone stealing women's underwear, but we do in Japan because there's not that much crime, on the surface at least. I didn't want to write about the Yakuza. I had no interest in writing about the Yakuza. I became friends with one of the cops in the organized crime unit when they were trying to determine who covered what areas of the police department. I was given the Yakuza. And my boss at the time said, you know, a lot of these Yakuza are foreigners. You're a foreigner. You'll fit right in. And nobody else wants the job, so it's you. About 30% of the Yakuza in Japan are zainichi. They are of Korean descent. They were either brought to Japan as slave labor during the Second World War. They are also subject to a lot of discrimination. Sometimes people call them like the Jews of Japan, and since I am Jewish, you know, we sort of had a kinship, right? Because we're these two outsiders in the Japanese society, so it was a definite advantage. I was threatened quite directly, but not in a way that I could actually file charges by members of the Godo Gumi because I was trying to write something about their boss and his liver transplant. And then I was threatened in a book written by the same boss in which he sort of put a fatwa out on me, which wasn't very nice. Well, the book went through there was a talk about turning it into a movie. At one point, Harry Potter, Danny Radcliffe, was going to play me, and I liked Dan. He was really nice, and his Japanese was really good. Ansel Elgort was not originally the #1 choice, but he was so enthusiastic and wanted to do the part so much that I was like, we should let him do it. You know, enthusiasm counts for a lot. His imitating are picked up. I did notice that at the opening of the show when he's smoking a cigarette, that is how I used to smoke cigarettes. The advice I gave him was, don't be me. You are your own person, right? This is a character, it's not me. Do whatever your interpretation as an actor is of this is. I'm not gonna tell an actor what to do. I did Aikido with the Tokyo Metropolitan Police Department almost the entire time I was there. And so I helped find Ansel an Aikido teacher, and I made sure that his instructor wasn't easy on Ansel. I went over every script and where things were not realistic or not possible, and because the TV series is very different from the book, but it is rooted in reality. Details that you won't even notice in the TV series, how the Yakuza fanzines look, how the office looks, what books are on Jake's bookshelf. You know, it's the details that you may never notice where I may have had the most input.